Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live at the Roxy. I don't even know if she knows this, but this is the week of guests brought back by popular demand. If you are on this week of shows, it's because you guys have been asking for the return of these people. So Nathalia Ramos in the house, back by popular demand.
I am, first of all, flattered that I didn't bore everybody to death last time.
Never.
What my friends tell me. So I guess I have new friends.
Wait, what? Who tells you that you're boring?
Not you, but a lot of me. Everyone's like, okay, Nat, enough. Like, we've heard it. Like, we get it. The world is. I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah, the world's fucked. The world's fucked. We know the world's fucked.
Get it. By the way, Rox, that intro, what?
It's fun, right? Yeah.
Like Jimmy, I was like, damn, like she's gone. She's like,
we've been doing some upgrades on the show. That one comes from Jake Yacovetta, who is the best, who pimps out my stream with these lower thirds and the things that I don't know how to do. That thank God I have people that like to help me, because otherwise I would be sitting with no mic, like nothing. All of these things are because of you guys. You guys are the best. So thank you.
I love it.
Nat, it's real. It's real that they wanted you back. They've been asking for you to come back since the day that you were on, literally, like consistently. Every time when I post in the Discord or on the YouTube or wherever, asking who do you guys want back, you are like one of the number one people, if not the number one person people ask for back. So somebody made an impression.
Oh my gosh,
no pressure.
I want to say I'll be a regular guest, but I don't want people to get sick of me.
Nobody would get sick of you. Yeah, maybe we do a once a month with Nathalia Ramos.
Yeah, like a regular update. What? I can do a special Live at the Roxy, what WTF is happening, like my series.
Anybody who isn't following you on social media is really missing out, because your series is so informative and also entertaining. That's why I'm surprised your friends say that, make fun of you for being boring, because you I find that you have a way of giving a ton of information in a way that does not put me to sleep, which is very, very rare.
I appreciate that. That was kind of the goal, because I spend a lot of time reading and with people who tend to do that, and it's just not accessible. So I especially because I have a younger audience on social, I wanted them to, get this information and enjoy it as much as I do. So
yeah, it's like the not really, but I've always loved the yoga for dummies or whatever for dummies series. I've just always loved that. And yours is, it's not about being for dummies, but it's just about like something that you can pick up and anybody can come to it with any level of knowledge and just be like, oh, I get it now. Which I love.
I love that you said that, because that was exactly the kind of inspiration behind it. It was like, I'm just going to do, World War I for dummies or whatever for dummies. And it's just, look, you don't need a PhD in this stuff. I don't even have a PhD. You don't need it. It's just like cover the basics. Like, I just want to know what's up. And if you're interested in more, I'll share the links for you to like dive deeper.
Can I please tell you what this is how fucked up my mind is in quarantine, just being 100% real with you right now. And it's something out loud that I really should not say out loud, but I'm about to. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay. Do you remember those shirts growing up that said FBI, female body inspector?
Oh my God. Yeah, on Venice Beach.
So the ones that we had back east said PhD, pretty huge dick, which is like just what I think anytime anybody say.
And I'm sure the people saying that would not exactly be the type of people that you would necessarily correlate.
Nope, with a PhD. Nope. So anytime, this is like the child in me, it's like when somebody says a fart joke, like anytime anybody says PhD in any situation, I kind of chuckle to myself and people look at me like, what? That's like a completely normal thing to say. So
never
just so you know, that's where I'm at in this quarantine state. That's where I'm at. Speaking of what you talk about though, Nat, at this point, I don't even know what is considered political, what's considered pop culture. Those lines are so blurred that there is really no barrier. So we are talking about things today that I guess anything you talk about with Kanye West is kind of political, because he's running for office. So we will be talking about Kim Kardashian coming forward about Kanye and everything that has taken place there. Also kind of political, rock star Dave Grohl talking about defending teachers now that Trump is planning on possibly reopening schools. So that crosses the line of pop culture and political as well. Trump wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well. That's something we'll be breaking down today. Oh boy. And then also, I know that you guys at home are obsessed with Star Wars, so we will mention Donald Glover and coming back as Lando in this series, plus questions from you guys in the Super Chat and the Streamlabs and on Patreon. You guys have already been submitting a ton of questions for Nat, so please keep those coming. Yeah, it's because you're the best. I told you back by popular demand, and I really mean it. You and my brother. Why?
Oh, Jet, that's awesome.
They're obsessed with Jet. Yeah, but he came on this week and he was an ass.
Oh, really?
Why? Not really, but like he hates Christopher Nolan for some reason and just like decided to like stand on his soapbox here about Christopher Nolan. And it's like, what?
I can see why he was super popular. It's just like just random from the heart.
Yes. Like he like me, if he hears something, he can't not say something. So, I get it. I do want to check in with these Super Chat and Streamlabs before we get into some of these news things. Larry Lee says, guys, hit that like button. Do it for Nathalia. Roxy and Nathalia, agree with you. We got to vote. Oh, yeah. I've been seeing you do that on your story. So what is that cool video thing that comes and then it says like use registration Nathalia, or you know what I'm talking about? What is that you're doing?
So I've officially partnered up with headcount.org and you should check them out. But basically all you have to do is text. I want to get the exact number right because I always mix up these 2 digits, but you just text voter Nathalia to 40649. And like it will literally just walk you through the registration. You can check if you're registered, check what state you are, update your registration, get information on voting. I mean, everything, it's right there at your fingertips. All you have to do is send a text. It's free. And they're just a really incredible resource. I was really excited to partner up with them because honestly, it's unfortunate, but when it comes to voting, like youth are vastly underrepresented, as are diversity groups and minority groups, and also a lesser known discussed group is just like moderates, because the people who are the most passionate and the most extreme, they're going to be the ones that are most riled up to go and vote. And we actually need normal people.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
We need moderates. We need all of us, and especially if you're feeling fuck this, I don't have a voice, there's no point. I mean, I get it. I feel like that all the time. I work in this industry. It sucks. But that defeatism is not going to get us anywhere, because there's millions of people who are super riled up for whatever cause they're super passionate about, and they're going to be the loudest voice and they're going to be heard. So I think it's so important that, that all of the young people make sure that they're registered to vote. And there's a lot of confusion right now, especially with the pandemic. So I just want to share resources.
I do have a really stupid question for you.
Okay.
If you're registered to vote, or if you register to vote, say you turned 18, you registered to vote, you did it at the DMV or wherever was the place that so you registered to vote. Is there anything other than obviously going to jail or something like that would unregister you to vote?
I don't want to talk about
registered, or you just registered?
You're registered, but you need to update your mail address. For example, if you move, and especially now with mail-in ballots, you want to make sure that your information is up to date. So, and that you actually receive your ballot. And also especially if you cross state lines, all that, and know what state you're registered. Each state has their own rules. So
this is one of the reasons I'm asking you, though, because this was really weird for me. I've always been a registered Democrat. I registered as a Democrat when I was 18. I've never not been registered as a Democrat. And this year for the primary, they sent me an independent ballot so that I could not send in who I wanted for president, because I was registered as an independent. So I had to go wait for 3 hours to vote at the polls if I wanted to vote in the Democratic primary.
Yeah.
Because I somehow got switched to being registered as an independent. And I don't understand how that happened. Maybe glitch in the system.
I mean, I don't even want to begin to speculate on why that happened. There's obviously a lot of complications as we move into this tech era, and especially with the pandemic and voter resources being divested in, and there's a lot of there's a lot of reasons that could have happened. I'm not going to get into conspiracies and say that they didn't want you to vote. You know?
I don't want to conspiracize it. I just want to keep it from happening again, because now, when I was at the polling place, they allowed me to register again as a Democrat, but I just want to double check that that's.
Are you still registered in Massachusetts?
No, I'm here. I'm here now.
You're here now. I mean,
maybe when I switched, maybe that's what happened, though.
It's possible that when, I don't know, maybe when you switch, it just automatically put you. I don't know for sure. All I can say is just every time before, and not just presidential elections, but your local elections, just double check that your information is up to date, especially if we're going to be doing mail-in ballots for the foreseeable future. And just by texting head count, that's the easiest way that I know to just get your information right away. So
I'm going to do that so that I can see and make sure. I love that it's that easy. 40469, right? I always mix up the 40649. See, I know I always mix up 40649. Here's how you remember that: 406, and then the fourth spot is a 4 again.
Oh, I'm never gonna forget that now.
40649. Yeah. Love that. So everybody do that in case you don't know about your voter registration status, or you want to register to vote and you haven't yet. Please make sure you do that. I see a couple of people in here asking about, is it really important to vote? I mean, I just think the answer to that is, without a doubt, no matter who you're voting for, yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Be heard.
Absolutely. And another great resource to share with you guys is knowyourvote.io. They're also on Instagram, but this site, it's still in development, but even as it is now, is honestly remarkable. You can search by your zip code, you can search by candidate, and it will just give you all of the information on the issues, where a candidate stands, what the elections are in your zip code. Like, when we get the local elections ballot, and we're like, what the fuck am I voting on? Prop, whatever. This is primary source information, meaning it comes directly from publicly available data, from the website, from whatever it is that is legitimate. It's cited, so you see where that information is coming from. It is nonpartisan. It's just the facts, and it's laid out in a way that it's just super easy for you to get informed. So I highly recommend that as well when you're deciding, what to vote.
I'm glad you just were talking a little bit about that, because Chris Martinez is one of my patrons who said, hey, Roxy and Nathalia, hope you're both having a great day. What is the best way to do research for local elections? Yeah. I usually just Google the candidates and see if any articles come up. If there are better or more thorough ways to research them, I'd love to know. Thanks. So that seems like something that would help.
Know Your Vote has been a lifesaver for me, because even the pamphlet that comes, with the mail-in ballot, or if you just research online, I'm always very skeptical of who is behind that article. What biases do they have? A lot of times things sound really great, and then you find out that, it was funded by, big pharma or whatever it is. And it's not transparent, and you really have to dig a lot to find neutral information. So Know Your Vote. And I know the founder personally, and I know her intentions behind female founded business.
Name drop. What? Yeah, you're so popular.
Karen is the owner. That was a Bridesmaids. I don't know if anyone didn't get that.
100%.
I know you got it.
One of the best movies ever.
Best. No, but I just know her intentions behind it. I've seen the process of her building it, and I trust it. And that's one of them that's invaluable. And the information is just laid out so plainly to see. And it's super cool. So I really recommend it.
I love that too, because Chris, when you said you just Google the candidates and see if any articles come up, I think probably a lot of people do that, including myself at many times. Like when you're trying to figure out things, what do? We Google it, or we ask I don't want to say her name because she'll start talking, but Alexa, she'll start talking. We'll ask her. If I say her name too loud, she goes psychotic during the stream. She won't stop. She'll keep chiming in. Yeah, she's so creepy.
So you can't ever have a name.
No.
Show.
No. And if I say it here too, and the rock stars at home are listening to this, then it makes their people go off too. So we can't. We can't talk to her or Siri. We can't. They don't know. They don't exist here. But I think a lot of people Google it, and honestly, that's something that I don't really trust, because the places that I start reading articles from, I'm like, I don't even know. I'll see the name of the author. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. It might be from a website that I trust. It might not be. So I love your suggestion here, Nat. And I think that definitely it will be helpful for people who are trying to figure out what candidates stand for so they can know. Again, I'm never trying to push anybody to vote any kind of way. Just to vote and to educate yourself. Yeah. Absolutely.
Have an informed vote. Yeah.
Speaking of voting, let's get into one of our topics today, because Donald Trump, who we voted for as a country, is our president. And he has been speaking about Ghislaine Maxwell. He was asked specifically about her and how he feels about Ghislaine Maxwell. And he said, I wish her well. I wish her well. I met her a few times, and all I can say is I wish her well. And then when he was asked about Prince Andrew, he said he didn't know about that situation and couldn't comment on it. So this obviously took over a lot of the news cycle, a lot of Twitterverse, just went everywhere. Nat, did you watch Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich?
I did.
Okay. In general, were you surprised that Trump said this? Do you think that there was more to it than meets the eye? How did you feel about him making the statement that he wishes her well?
Okay. This is how I honestly feel. Of course he was going to wish her well. Like, of course he said that. Like, why are we even surprised? I seriously think the fact that this is even news, it's just a distraction from what really matters. Like, we all knew that he was going to say something lovely about Ghislaine Maxwell, just like the Charlottesville protesters are really nice people and the BLM protesters are criminals. Like, are we really, really surprised at this point? Like, why is this still news? Like it's just, I feel like, I don't know if there's some darker ulterior motive of him being just like a brilliant media guy and knowing how to like spin the media and just cause controversy to distract from the fact that we have 144,000 deaths from COVID, 11% unemployment. We live in a country where people don't have health care. I mean, the White House is forcing hospitals to send data to the HHS rather than CDC, which is something else I can talk about. I mean, all of these things. And we're talking about Trump wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well. And it's just, like, obviously I'm not happy about it. Obviously I don't like it, but like, dude, are we really surprised at this point? Like,
I'm surprised he didn't say anything more complimentary. I feel like this was the most mild version that we were going to get from him, wishing her well. Yeah. I was also surprised that he didn't have an opinion on the Prince Andrew situation, because he has an opinion on everything. So I really feel like that was him biting his tongue. Like, okay, Ghislaine Maxwell is in a position right now where she can speak on me, so I need to make sure that I don't piss her off. But Prince Andrew, I don't need to protect him. But I'm also not going to throw him under any buses. So just don't know, not sure. And I'm with you, Nat. It's all kind of a major distraction about what's really going on. And I think that he's probably aware of that. I do think that he is, I don't even know how to phrase this. I guess I'll say smart enough to know, but whatever it is, or as dialed in enough to know that him talking about this is going to be what we're talking about. And it's the same thing as, remember when, I don't know if you remember when he was asked about Carol Baskin from Tiger King, and they were like, no. what do you think should happen? In the same format, he was asked about Tiger King and what should happen with Carol Baskin and whatever. And that's what he talks about, because then in the news the next day, it's like Donald Trump talks about Carol Baskin from Tiger King. And really it's like, okay, but can Donald Trump please talk about like what we're going to do about the fact that people are dying?
And the fact that now we're having White House briefings without any scientists, in the room. The fact that
he hasn't spoken to Fauci in months. Yeah. There's been no direct communication between Trump and Fauci in over 2 months.
In months. And this man, I mean, Fauci he has worked for 6 or 7 presidents, Republicans and Democrats. He has a reputation. Like, it's not like I'm coming in guns a-blazing, like, I love Fauci. I'd never even fucking heard of him before coronavirus. All I know as a 28-year-old person who wasn't alive during the AIDS epidemic is that he's a fucking American hero and like a legend, and his reputation speaks for himself. So that's the information that I'm going by, No other president has had a problem with him. So
I'm totally with you. This is something we talk about on the show all the time. Here's what I know. I know I don't know much. I
Yeah.
know I didn't go to 8 years of med school. I know I'm not a scientist. So
Yeah.
when doctors and scientists tell me what to do during this time, I have no choice but to listen because I don't know shit.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody here seems like everyone has an opinion now, and especially our president, everyone seems to be an expert on everything and be anti-experts, people who have dedicated their lives to research and public service and all of these things. I mean, a lot of the swamp that the current administration talks about, these are not political individuals. These are bureaucrats who are public servants, and they have dedicated their lives to public service. Many of them could have gone on to work in the private sector and made a shit ton more money.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And they have worked for both Republican and Democratic administrations. And I think we forget that within the government, there are thousands of these kinds of people who continue on throughout administrations. And that's important to recognize. And also that's why they're there, because they're the experts. I don't know anything about.
I don't know anything.
But honestly, if Fauci tells me to wear a mask, it literally affects like no aspect of my life whatsoever. Even if it's pointless, even if it doesn't actually work, the cost benefit of like the risk that I'm taking by not wearing a mask and like the harm that I could potentially do to someone is just so not worth, it's like,
I know.
why are we talking about this?
I really don't know. I think that it just shows how far away we are, especially as a country, not just as a world, but as a country, from really coming to a place where we can see eye to eye, or at least have mutual respect, because we have so many people out there who are just so unwilling to wear a mask that I don't know how to converse with them, because here's the truth. Here are the negatives to wearing a mask. Number one, you can't wear lipstick because it gets on your mask. Super annoying. Number two, sometimes I get more pimples like here because I'm in this, so it's not been good for my skin. Okay. Number three, like not the cutest for my outfits.
I've actually gotten matching masks now.
So yeah, I've now have stellar ones. Okay. But like if we're looking at that kind of thing for pros, don't have to put on makeup from here down when I go out. So really excited about that. Cool new accessory, pretty excited about. I've got a leopard one. I've got a metallic one. Fun art project. I made some masks.
Love that.
I have bought fabric markers and patches and I iron them on. So that's a fun thing to do with my time. So, those things kind of balance each other out. And then there's the fact that it saves lives. So I feel like that really puts a pro in the pro column. Like
big, like that. Exactly. I mean, come on.
I really try to think so why won't you? Why won't you wear a mask?
I actually had ear surgery, right? And it was a few years ago, but it's still, my ear is still sensitive. And like when I wear those masks that go around my ear, it actually hurts. And
really?
Wearing it, but then I just got one that ties, problem solved, like it ties behind my head, like it's not a big deal. Or the one that just goes around, like come on. I mean, I felt that it can be uncomfortable. Like I felt the pain. It hurts a lot less than getting COVID. I'll tell you that.
Grammy was bitching about her ears too for a minute. She was like, "Oh, the masks are really annoying for my ears." And what I realized was, older people have bigger ears. Because the two things on your face that never stop growing are your nose and your ears.
I think you're the one who told me that, actually.
So we just got her looser elastic because there had been tight ones. And so you can do things about that.
A lot of things. Yeah.
But it is just super wild. And I feel like we are very far away from coming together on a lot of these things. Another situation that I think that we is very divided throughout the country right now is what we should do with our kids. What should we do with the children? So talking about the school system, DeVos, who we call on here, not DeVos of us, or not DeVos of us. She has been pushing to reopen schools. And when I say schools, I mean the physical building, because there seems to be right now people, when you hear school, you think it means that children are not being educated all right now. That's not true. There's obviously Zoom schools and homeschooling, but I mean the physical school. DeVos has been trying to reopen the schools come fall. Trump seems to be going along with that plan, and a lot of teachers and parents are highly concerned about this, while a lot of teachers and parents, especially parents, seem to want this, and we seem to be divided here. Dave Grohl decided to speak out about this. He wrote an op-ed that I thought was pretty wonderful. He comes from a mother who was a teacher, and he actually listed a lot of other rock stars who come from parents who are teachers, and I was kind of surprised how many there were.
Yeah, I haven't read the full op-ed, so I'm going to read it after this.
Yeah, there were so many, but I will read a little bit to you guys. He said, every teacher has a plan. Don't they deserve one too? My mother had to come up with 3 separate lesson plans every single day, public speaking, AP English, and English 10, because that's what teachers do. They provide you with the necessary tools to survive. Who is providing them with a set of their own? America's teachers are caught in a trap set by indecisive and conflicting sectors of failed leadership and have never been in their position and can't possibly relate to the unique challenges they face. This part's interesting. He says, I wouldn't trust the U.S. Secretary of Percussion to tell me how to play Smells Like Teen Spirit if they had never sat behind a drum set. So why should any teacher trust Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos to tell them how to teach without her ever having sat at the head of a class? Maybe she should switch to the drums. Until you've spent countless days in a classroom devoting your time and energy to becoming that lifelong mentor to generations of otherwise disengaged students, you must listen to those who have. Teachers want to teach, not die, and we should support and protect them like the national treasures they are, for without them, where would we be? There was a lot more to this piece, but I thought it was really powerful.
Yeah,
because we are thinking so much about the students, as we should be, but there hasn't been as much conversation about the teachers, many of whom are over the age of 60. And we know that they're even more at risk, although we have seen, especially in the most recent weeks, that even when you're under that age, you could be at severe risk as well. Yeah. So what do you think, Nat, in terms of what, obviously you can't devise a plan for what we should be doing, but when you hear the sides of this, what do you think?
Yeah, so without getting into DeVos, because I think she has her own ulterior motives, and every single decision that she's made as Secretary of Education has been pretty clearly directed towards her motives. But big picture, I see the argument on both sides, right? There are legitimate reasons for opening schools, because schools are not just about education, but a lot of children get their meals from schools.
Yeah.
If you think of kids who are victims of domestic abuse, it goes on and on, just social skills, tons of things that go beyond just the classroom. And just the fact that, I'm not a parent myself, but a lot of people I know who are parents are saying that it is very, very difficult to teach your kid while you're also working from home, and just
because it's a job.
And if anything, the challenges that teachers face and how difficult their jobs are, I think a lot of parents are realizing this for the first time. And I hope it brings, once this is over, discussions on what we value in society. Why are teachers so underpaid? Why have we not given enough thought to their needs? Why are schools so understaffed and under-resourced and underfunded? All of those things. On the other hand, couldn't agree more with what Dave Grohl said. That kind of feeds into my point of teachers just being undervalued historically. I think that schools can't just reopen. The White House put out a statement basically saying schools need to reopen. The science shouldn't stand in the way of this. Well, you can't, it's not so black and white. First of all, the science absolutely should stand in the way of this. That's why science exists.
If anything should stand in the way of anything, it's science.
If anything, right? I know that I heard the teachers union, I think in Florida, sued the administration over that. There's a lot of back and forth, but I'm going to say something, I guess, a little kind of out there. So bear with me, everyone, as I gather my
with you.
But this is kind of, I watched an interview that Jessica Yellen did with Dr. Fauci. And if you guys don't follow Jessica Yellen, highly recommend it. I get all my so much news from her. She's the absolute best. but she interviewed Dr. Fauci, and he said, look, it's not black and white, all schools open, all schools don't. It's really going to be up to local school districts to determine what is going on in their community and what are the safest ways to allow kids to get back into the classroom. Now, countries like China, Taiwan, certain European countries, I mean, there's countries all around the world that have been creative in the way that they do this. And America, which is supposed to be the land of like innovation and creativity and ingenuity, we just need to think outside of the box right now. I don't know what the exact mechanisms are, but you know, in other countries, they've had like half of the students come in on one day, half on the other day. They've had like blocks, or they've had like, there's this really adorable video going around on Instagram where like the kids in China are going in like full suits and they're getting like sprayed down. They're giving their books and they're getting like sanitized. I mean, I guess my point with this is just we have to think outside of the box, and we need to allow local school districts, the same way Dave Grohl says, let the people who have been doing this, you know, decide what is best. I mean, what's going on in Idaho is going to be very different to what's happening in California, or even what's happening in LA is going to be very different to what's happening in Fresno. So this is such a local issue, and it's not fair to parents, teachers, students, bus drivers, cafeteria ladies, janitors. I mean, there's so much that goes into this, and it's not fair to just say, snap your fingers, you're opening. I mean, it needs to be a much more thought out process, and there's a lot of opportunity to be creative and do different things. So we just have to empower local communities to devise ways that work best for them.
I completely agree. And the truth is, I'm not a parent. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a student. What the fuck am I giving my opinion for? Like, I really feel like people need to, I don't know if you saw this video that's going around of this hairdresser in Los Angeles who they just changed the law. So first they reopened hair salons, then Los Angeles has closed hair salons, and now they're reopening so that hair salons can be in business, but only outside. And outside you can only do cutting, no processing, which means that they're going to be getting paid the quarter of the amount, but still have to pay rent where they are and are no longer eligible for unemployment. So the hairdressers are pissed because now they're going to be losing a ton of money and having to work, and they have no solutions. And so she put out this video and was like, how could the people who are making the decision about this, none of them be hairdressers? Like, how could we not be asked? How could this doesn't work for any of us? And so I really feel like this is the time where local community, and that might be working somewhere in Idaho, where outside maybe haircuts are the thing that are like Los Angeles. It's color. That's what you're getting paid for, to get color.
I mean, that's the most expensive thing, right? Like, I mean, it makes perfect sense that like hairstylists make their money off of color. You know, like if you go and get your color done, you get like a free blowout.
Yeah. And
like that's how.
And if you're trying to make enough money off of just cuts, you're going to have to see 10 times the amount of people.
Yeah.
So now you're seeing so many more people. It's not a good situation. I wouldn't have known that. I would have thought, oh, outside hair salons is a great solution because I'm not a hairdresser. So then when she explained it, I was like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
We need people who are teachers and who are parents and who are students to be getting together to figure out in their communities what's best, what works, how do we make this work? And like you said, we can be innovative. Maybe it is putting up more shields or dividers. Maybe it is they come in every other week and switch with half their class. Maybe it is half the classes are outside, as many classes as you can take outside. Like, there are all different solutions. And this is something that's been bothering me too, Nat, is like, I've always been bothered by the term pro-life, because the opposite of that is pro-death, which is just nobody is that. And so for here, what DeVos keeps saying and people keep saying is, you guys don't want, to the people who are on the other side, you don't want students to go back to school. Yeah. Nobody doesn't want students.
No, right.
For sure. Everybody wants students to be in school. That is something we all agree that life is important, and nobody wants death. And we all agree that we wish kids could be in school. Who doesn't want kids in school?
Yeah.
Nobody. So we're on the same page about that. We're just not on the same page about how to accomplish that.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
this is a problem that I have, and it's not just this administration. I think it's society in general. It's the Twitter world. It's our short attention spans, but there's no room for nuance. And everything is just black and white. You're either for school, like for education, or you're not. And this way of thinking, without going deeper into an issue, without thinking outside of the box and being creative, which is what has honestly been America's selling point forever, to just be innovative and do things differently than the old world and the establishment, and to just think in these black and white terms, it's not helpful for anyone. Like, it's not, like you said, it's not that you're against schools. It's not like I am for education and I'm also for teachers staying alive. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But it's not one or the other. So let's find some sort of new solution that hasn't been thought of yet, or that we haven't tried yet, or whatever it is. And just, we gotta think differently. Like, we're stuck in these polarized lenses of, you got to support this because I'm a Republican and this is what the Republicans want, and I'm a Democrat, and whatever it is. And it's just not a productive way of thinking.
It's not working.
It's not working.
So we have to change it up. This is a question coming in from Streamlabs from Ryan White. I'm curious how you're going to answer this, Nat, because we'll see. Ryan says, hi, Roxy and Nathalia. What do you think it's going to take to get enough people to change their vote from Republican to Democrat? Or are we hoping enough new people will vote for some states to go Dem? So I don't know that that's what the goal is, but Nat, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure that that's what the goal is, because I mean, first, Hillary technically won the popular vote, right? It was the Electoral College that, and rightfully so, that's the way our Constitution works. I'm not criticizing that process. But I don't think it's necessarily about converting voters. It's about activating voters. And there are, for many reasons, a lot of people who don't vote. A lot of minority, Black and Latino communities are widely underrepresented in the voting process, even though they are eligible voters. And for the most part, it's pretty safe to assume that those voters are Democratic voters. So it's not in the interest of the Republican Party to encourage them to vote. I think gerrymandering is a huge problem that needs to be addressed. Oh my God, I just blanked out, but
registration,
but like stop like impediments for voters to vote. Like what happened in Kentucky. I don't know if you guys followed that, but they had one polling place for all of Jackson County. I think it was Jackson County, like the biggest county in Kentucky. And like, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people, and they had one voting place. I mean, these are all barriers that are intentionally designed to
keep people from voting,
to reduce voter turnout. Exactly. So I don't know if it's exactly about converting voters, but it's activating voters. It's breaking down these institutional barriers for disenfranchised people to enter the voting process, and then getting young people like you and me who are sitting at home and just can't be fucked actually out.
What do you think about, this is something we've been talking about on this show recently, but do you think that it should be a holiday voter?
Oh, absolutely. Like that I'll say 100%. And I've seen it in other countries. My home country of Australia, it is a national holiday. First of all, they have mandatory voting, which is where
my friend was telling me about this the other day. The one who we went to the Aussie event for, Dan Furgal, he was telling me that you get fined if you don't vote. And he said that he was out of the country, or he was out of town filming one of the shows, and so he wasn't able to. And he came back, and his car had been
really?
because he
getting like a $50 fine or something. But
he kept getting fined. He just wasn't there to collect the mail or see that he was continuously getting fined, wasn't paying it, and then like his car or something. It was something along those lines. But I was like, wow, Australia don't fuck around.
No, not at all. And the idea that I mentioned earlier about how only the extremes vote, I got that idea because I was talking about this exact issue with my cousin, who was like, this is actually the antidote to that. Because if you force everyone to vote, you're not just getting the most extremely passionate, like right or left people out. You're getting the average person out into the street. And I actually thought that was before I wasn't sure how I felt about compulsory voting, because I'm all about informed votes, but you can just go in and write Roxy Stryer on the ballot. Like, you don't have to vote for anything, but you have to go. And actually that process of like performing your civic duty, I think it instills a different type of culture. They have a day off work. You get in line to go vote, and they give you like sausages and they play music, and you know, like you just go for the free hot dogs. You know, it's like or sausage rolls in Australia they're called. So you get like a sausage roll.
A hot dog's called a sausage roll?
Yeah, a sausage. Well, they're not quite hot dogs. They're kind of like pigs in a blanket, but bigger. They're sausage rolls. And meat pies, and it's a party, and it's part of the culture, and it's like we are so far removed from our civic identity in so many ways in this country, and I think that's really cool. On the end, another reason for having a day off is, I mean, people can't afford to miss work, you know, and it's wrong to expect,
especially not rich people.
Exactly. It is wrong to expect a single mother of 3 who's working 3 jobs at Walmart and cleaning homes and wherever, like whatever she's doing, working her fucking butt off, to go and stand in line for, you know, 3 hours. And they're already in communities that are intentionally disenfranchised, and for all the other reasons that I laid out. Basically, I think it should be a national holiday because it's fun and everyone can go vote.
Voting is fun, guys. That's the lesson here.
You get the little sticker and you're like, I voted. Yeah.
More questions coming in the Streamlabs. Weston Ira, I can always count on you, Weston, says, text voter Nathalia to 40649 for election results or to register to vote. Excited to see this later. Nathalia has gems on her YouTube, IG, etc.
Oh,
Nathalia, besides working with the Whirl Girls, that's a show that I do, is there a company you would love to get picked up by? So is there somebody that you want to work with for any of your shows that I mean, you're already working with a lot of great people.
Yeah, I'm kind of in this grow learning phase. So, I mean, thanks for shouting out the YouTube. I've been uploading to my YouTube, but I'm not Roxy. I haven't quite spent the time to really learn and navigate YouTube. So I just put what's on YouTube onto my, on IGTV onto my YouTube. But
it's a start, dude. It's a start. Hell yeah.
I'm a little embarrassed at like the, you know, how, just my lack of,
you're perfect. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You're awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And as far as companies, I'm learning a lot. I'm kind of working and consulting for various other independent creators, all in the like political news space, far more experienced, far more legitimate than I am. And I'm just learning, finding my voice. I've been working, like I mentioned the last time I was on, the Berggruen Institute for a few years now. And I just learned so much there. I've started producing content for them over there. I just had a video that I published over the weekend that I was proud of. So I'm just kind of learning right now. And deciding what area I really want to focus on. I don't know if it's like journalism, like a Vice kind of reporter. I think that would be something super cool. Or maybe it's something more.
That would be amazing.
I mean, my mom always said that I was going to be a journalist. And I was like, no, I'm an actress. But I
think you're both. It's 2020. You're both.
Well, it's like you're both. Exactly.
Working
and a
on
writer
it.
And a producer. And yeah, that's what I think is super cool. And I've been so invigorated by the response of, you know, from everyone like you. I mean, the fact that you guys asked for me back, I mean, it's so touching and it means the world. And then the people who follow me on Instagram, a lot of them are young. They're following me because of Bratz or House of Anubis. And it's kind of a big turn. They could be like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. And
but they're so there for it. I watch the comments.
There for it. And they ask really smart comments or questions and really like thoughtful. I get DMs all the time that I try to respond to as much as I can, like just really, really thoughtful things. I haven't, you know, knock on wood, had any your mom is Ricardo. See, Ricardo is one of them. He's everywhere.
Yo, Ricardo, you get it. Her mom is a queen. Agreed. I bumped into her at a gas station right before COVID happened. It was like the best day of my year.
My mom's a rock star. She really
I love her so much.
Yeah, she's huge. Yeah.
She's just awesome.
Just like, yeah, always saying it, telling you how it is, making sure that I'm checked, she's always checking me.
And me and everybody that she cares about.
Yeah, but always more pro my friend's side than me.
That's because she knows, because she's a queen. More questions strolling in. Glenn Caesar said, Nathalia, it's great to have you back here live at the Roxy. If I'm remembering correctly, the last time that you were on with Roxy, you said that you were living on a farm in a pretty isolated area of Nevada. Have you been able to participate in any protests since then? Oh, interesting question. And if not, what other ways have you been able to engage in activism aside from protesting? And what type of recommendations would you give to people who'd like to increase their level of activism, but either live in remote/isolated areas and are not able-bodied, especially in this time of COVID-19? Thank you. What a great question, Glenn.
What a great question. Wow. This is something that I have been really thinking and struggling to find, to figure out how to be a meaningful ally during all of this. I just got back to LA actually, but yes, I was on a farm in Nevada. There were no protests in Sandy Valley, unfortunately. But one of the things that struck me the most, especially in the early weeks, was how much I didn't know. And I consider myself an informed, person, and I've studied, I'm taking class on all of these issues, taking classes at, USC on all of these issues, and I've read a lot, and I have a very diverse group of friends, but the amount of resources and like just information that was being pushed out on social media during those weeks, I thought was remarkable. I'm so inspired by the community on social media, the way that they all showed up, and the way that it was different this time. It was like, we're going to share information. And a friend of mine, it sparked a lot of conversations, especially with Black friends of mine who are just like, honestly, this is not new for us. And we've been trying to say this for so long, and honestly, the information is there now. You guys can take it or leave it, but I'm tired. And that's what I keep hearing over and over. And it was a time of really a lot of self-reflection, a lot of learning, a lot of talking. And I was really down for a few weeks. It was very confronting, I think. And so as far as how to support, first, educate yourself. I think
step one, you just talked about it.
That is step one. You never ever know enough, and talking to people, and then becoming an ally is having those hard conversations. I'm actually doing a blog right now for Rosetta Stone called Hard Conversations, and I'm interviewing various different people from a broad range of fields, and I'm having a conversation with Logan, actually preview with Logan on exactly this issue, and I'm asking her all types of questions about BLM, about how we can be be real, true allies, how we can make the change that we want to see in the world. And so stay tuned for that. I'll have more answers. But in the meantime, just having these hard conversations with people who think differently, I think is also extremely important. I've had conversations with, thankfully not my parents, because they're super woke, but a lot of older people who say things that are very offensive. And it's rather than getting angry and reacting, I try to explain let me explain to you why this is a problem, or let me explain to you why I feel this way, or why I was out in the streets, why my friends are doing this, why, and just, I think those conversations are key. And it's so hard, because I want to say treat everyone with respect, but if you're a person that is directly impacted by these things, it's really hard to treat someone who is oppressing you with respect. So that's true. Of that. So there's a lot of I guess I just threw a lot of things at you, but it starts with really informing yourself, arming yourself with the tools so that you can go out in the world and be like, this is wrong and this is why.
I've also, and I know you know this, Glenn, but for anybody who's tuning in, I also have done episodes where I said like the top 10 ways to be an ally. And I've interviewed a lot of people who came on and talked about that as well. Obviously, we've talked about showing financial support when you can, if you can, signing petitions, if you can, when you have to be doing that as you're educating yourself, putting things out on your social media, having those hard conversations like Nathalia talked about. But really, really, if you're looking for step one, educating yourself, it is essential, and you need to do that you need to work on educating yourself without taxing your Black friends to educate you.
Yes, that's a huge one.
Massive, because like you said, they're exhausted. I also, speaking of my friends, I see my friend Haley Matthews in here. This is awesome. Big House of Anubis fan.
That's Haley. Thank you.
Love that. Haley rocks.
I have one funny/sad protest story.
What happened?
So I was so bummed that I was in Nevada during the protest. I was like, this is the moment. Like, I need to be out. Like, this is our generation's moment. I need to be like out in the streets and blah, blah, blah. So I was like dying to get back. I didn't have a ride back from Nevada. Anyway, I came back like towards the end when things started to like sizzle down. And I was walking to the supermarket, which is, a few blocks away from my house. And there was like a mini protest, like a mini march right on Santa Monica Boulevard, right by my house. And I watched and I was like, oh, this is my moment. Like, I'm going to join, I'm going to march. And I get all excited. And there's just like a few people and like, I see more coming. So I was like, I was already in Gelson's with my bags and whatever. And so I like ran back inside and I bought two huge boxes of water bottles. And I was like, I'm going to hand these out because I still have to take my groceries home. I already bought, I can't, walk with groceries, whatever. So I'm just going to hand out water bottles. So I go back inside and I get these two huge things of water bottles. It's like 48 water bottles. And I'm so pumped. I'm like, I'm going to participate in something. And I go and I sit down. The march is over. It was like a tiny little thing. And so I'm sitting there with 48 bottles of water. And I'm like,
oh no.
Now I have to walk back home.
Did people take them? Nobody wanted your water?
There. And I was literally telling random people in the street, do you want some water? Do you want some water? Anyone water? And I just had to lug it back. But then the nicest man, actually, this random guy, we were both wearing our masks and everything. He came up and he was like, do you need help? And honestly, I was really struggling. I was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. He's insisted. And he had an accent. He was from Egypt. I could guess. I was trying to guess where his accent was from. I love to do that. Anyway, so he carries them all for me down the street. And we started talking, and he was a bus driver, and he was an immigrant. He was a bus driver. He was telling me his stories of what's been going on with his industry and his work, how he felt, how he was supporting the protests, by through busing, people, and how he was so there for it. And there were moments that with the riots, it got a little scary, but he never wavered in his support for what was happening. And it was just, I would have never had a conversation with a bus driver like that. And he was amazing. And it was
that's awesome.
It ended up being, it was actually really, really cool. And it was really nice of him to help me carry that stuff. But yeah, it was
epic fail, but it resulted.
Fail. I was so excited. And I was just
in here, before I forget, Noah Denman says register to vote and vote. Yep. Yeah. 100%. If you take anything away from today, that is the thing. All right. More questions coming in. Weston Ira. All right. This one's a little, we'll navigate our way through.
Okay.
First, as someone awesome would say, that thumbnail is quite the smoke show. I think of me and you. I call things a smoke show a lot.
Love it.
Second, I feel a cruel sense of irony that I start my full-time spot on the very day one of my all-time favorite guests on the show returns, meaning I have to settle for the replay. Sorry for the long post. Oh, sorry that you're back to work the day we bring back Matt. Yeah, that's great too, though.
I hope we bring you some good luck.
Anyway, welcome back. Hashtag Nathalia, so that must be our ship name.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm down.
What do you think of a series about spies during the world wars? Okay, interesting question, because I think that bridges your two things the things that we talk about a lot. First of all, Nat's also Jewish, so we have spent many times talking about World War II. Second of all, Nat's an actress and loves TV and movies like I do. So interesting, a series about spies. What do you think?
I mean, I'm so down for it. Also, there are so many true stories that you don't even need to make one up. The stories from World War II are just mind blowing.
I
like,
know.
you can't invent this stuff. It's really more interesting than fiction. I actually, in one of my Rosetta Stone blogs, I had the opportunity to interview Gideon Raff, who was the writer and director of The Spy, which is the amazing story of Eli Cohen from Israel, who was a spy in Syria, made it to the highest level of the ranks in the Syrian government. I mean,
that's Sacha Baron Cohen's
his serious debut. His dramatic debut.
It's the dramatic turn.
Yeah, exactly. I love spy stories and I love real ones because anyway, but yeah, I'm super down for it.
I loved this. Obviously wasn't during a world war, but did you see the show Americans? The Americans. It was one of my favorite shows on FX, and that was an amazing spy show as well.
That was another thing I was going to say. I mean, the stories of Russian spies and just everything during the Cold War, and even today, unfortunately, it's kind of like the new Cold War they're calling it. But back in the Cold War, everybody was trying to get into Moscow. Everybody, and it was like, how do you get into Moscow? How do you infiltrate? A friend of mine is somewhat involved in that space, and he's always, he can't really talk too much, he can't say too much, but he's always kind of giving just the high level insights on like how the operations work and like what the procedures are, and it's so fascinating to me.
I have a unrelated but kind of related. I have a cousin who's a SEAL, and he can't talk about jack shit. Like,
yeah.
Nothing.
It's a burden
to carry. Where you are, when you are, how you are, what you are, like nothing. I mean, you can talk about literally nothing.
Gosh,
so wild.
Burden. And if you think of also the personal traumas that they have to go through and the decisions that they have to make and the sacrifices that they make, I mean, it's real. I mean, this is real shit. This is not just a movie. It's pretty wild, but yeah, I'm super into it.
More questions coming in. Glenn said, hello, Roxy and Nathalia. Thanks for virtually hanging out with us today. Wishing you both and all the rock stars a super happy and sunshine-filled Wednesday. Glenn, you're so cute.
Oh, Glenn.
Natalia,
I remember from last time, I remember.
Yeah, Glenn's the freaking best. He says, Nathalia, though, if you could pick any two special abilities or superpowers, what would they be?
Teleportation, like that's without
mine. That's always mine.
Because I want to go see my grandma right now in Australia so badly.
How is she doing?
She's doing really well, thankfully. I mean, as well as could be.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about her. And we lost my grandpa last year, and so a lot of changes. And she's alone, and I think about her every day. We Zoom every day, and
But I think about this too, because obviously you and I had similar situations, but like it's almost a blessing that he didn't have to live through this.
Yeah. No, my family and I, we talk about that all the time, actually. It would have been.
It's confusing. Like Papa's very confused by all this right now. It's so fucking confusing.
Yeah. My heart breaks for people with family members in nursing homes and who can't go visit them. I mean,
I know.
It must be so, so brutal. So any of you, if you're going through that and just anything with your grandparents, like Roxy and I have a really, really soft spot for our grandparents, and they're
massively
part of our lives. So we get it. And, my heart goes out to all of you.
What's your second ability?
Oh, my second, gosh. Maybe speak every language.
Yes, that's perfect for you. You need that.
Yeah, I think that'd be super cool.
Well, you've got two solidly down and a third one I feel like on the way.
Well, solidly down, teleporting and speaking every language. But how cool would it be?
No, I'm saying you've got two languages solidly down and a third one that you're proficient in.
Yes. So I have two. I have English and Spanish and beginner Vietnamese. Like I can get by in Vietnamese.
It's crazy.
More. I actually need to.
I remember when you started learning. It was crazy.
Yeah. What I love the most about knowing how to speak Vietnamese is just how random it is and how surprised people are, especially Vietnamese people. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, was that you? Like on the phone, if I order in Vietnamese and then I go and pick up food, people are like, okay. And the order for, Nathalia. And then they see me and they're like, wait, no, this is not your order. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like proving people wrong everywhere. In the Streamlabs, Jenny, thank you, just says, just stopping by to show support. Keep being you. Much love. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
PLD, Paul Denuzio says, glad I could be here live today. Just wanted to say how awesome both of you are. Intelligent and important conversations as always. PLD, we really appreciate that. Maximilian in the Streamlab says, Roxy, thanks for challenging us to find 5 things to love about ourselves. Oh, that was the challenge I gave them yesterday.
Oh, I love that.
My question, what do you think should fuel love for others? Should it be duty/obligation, service/performance, personality/compatibility, just straight up compassion? Fueling love for others.
Wow.
I don't know. What do you think, Nat? What should fuel love for others?
That's a tough question, but I think at the end of the day, it's personal. I don't care what your motives are, just as long as you fuel love for others, right?
Yeah.
For me, I always think of empathy, and I go back to my training as an actor, and you could probably relate to this as well, Rox. But I mean, we are trained to empathize and to literally put ourselves in other people's shoes and see the world through their eyes. And so empathy comes very naturally to me. But for other people, it might be a sense of duty or obligation, or it might be whatever it is, like whatever works for you, go with that and just try not to be a dick. Like, just think about other people.
Yeah. I think I put this out. It was a Robin Williams quote in Good Will Hunting, but about loving somebody. Like, really what it is the ability to love somebody more than you love yourself. And really that being what true love is in whatever arena. Like, I can say, like, I love Grammy more than I love myself, which is why when it's not convenient, I still go there to do whatever it is to keep her alive, because that's what, like, real love is. So it depends on what level of love we're talking about. But when you talk about empathy, it's actually a really great transition, Nat, to talk a little bit about the Kim Kardashian, Kanye West situation, because Kim Kardashian, what she's asking for from the public and from the media as well, is for compassion and empathy for Kanye West. She opened up about what's going on with Kanye. This is something we've heard before, but she said that, as many of you know, Kanye has bipolar disorder. She wrote this in an Instagram story. She says, anyone who has this or has a loved one in their life who does knows how incredibly complicated and painful it is to understand. I've never spoken publicly about how this has affected us at home because I'm very protective of our children and Kanye's right to privacy when it comes to his health, which is very true. And I want you guys to remember, I talked about this on the show the other day when my brother was talking about how Kim owed the public a response. When it comes to mental health, it's a very personal situation. And just because she isn't speaking to the public doesn't mean she's not trying to make moves behind the scenes or really trying to help her husband and her loved ones and protect her family and her children. She also went on to say, we as a society talk about giving grace to the issue of mental health as a whole. However, we should also give it to the individuals who are living with it in times when they need it the most. I kindly ask that the media and public give us the compassion and empathy that is needed so we can get through this. And then she started thanking people who have been actively helping Kanye during this time. So speaking about this, obviously there's part of this that is political, as he is running for president of the United States. That's something that he has announced and has been doing and has been going through rallies. But so that's, like, from his words, he is running for president.
Sure.
Whether or not we take that as whatever. But this is what she's saying. And I think, Nat, like you said, because we come from a place of the arts, I do have a lot of empathy for him.
Yeah,
I really do. And has he done some crazy ass shit or whatever you want to call it, saying that slavery is a choice, or saying that Harriet Tubman did not free the slaves, or one of those examples I just gave, one is from years ago, one of them's current. He said things that are incredibly offensive and disheartening. So that's what I'm saying is crazy, but really it's not crazy. It's disturbing and it's upsetting. And I appreciate her saying that we should have a little compassion and empathy for somebody who's clearly this isn't him just trying to be an ass. He has a mental illness.
I couldn't agree more with what you said. I think at the beginning, I mean, every time something like this happened, like this is not the first time we've dealt with this, with Kanye speaking publicly and saying crazy things. This latest one, I mean, I honestly haven't taken his presidential run seriously. He hasn't filed ballots, you know,
he hasn't done what he needs to get petition. Yeah.
Most states have already closed, like it's not actually possible. And then the few remaining states, he hasn't actually gotten the required signatures. He hasn't submitted a ballot. He hasn't filed, you know, all of those things. So like, it's all just talk. He's not actually running for president. So that's the first thing. But he did a campaign route, whatever it is. As someone who, I have someone very close to me who has bipolar. I've lived it. I've seen it, especially in the arts. What Kim said really, really, I get it. Like it really touched me. And I think she's absolutely right as far as what my experience has been. And they're in a really difficult situation that I don't envy at all, because on the one hand, he is a public figure and what he says matters and people listen, and he's saying very irresponsible things. But on the other hand, he's a human being, and he's, you know, he's struggling with something that unfortunately is far too common and that society hasn't evolved enough to deal with. And I don't envy Kim at all. I've seen the situation that people can be in when, you know, myself included, when a loved one is really suffering, and it's really heartbreaking. And so I commend Kim for speaking out the way she does. I also completely value, I completely want to respect their privacy. And I hope that the media and the public can find, like she said, enough compassion in their hearts to just ignore the noise and just let them deal with this as a family, however they can. Being one of the most, you know, public families in this country, possibly in the world, I mean, it is a really difficult situation. But I hope that as a society we can get to that place.
I agree. And as somebody who's also been close with bipolar people in my life, I just know how challenging it is. Like, not only is Kanye a person, but Kim is a person, and they have children and an entire family. And that's something that, like, she is doing what she has to do. Imagine when one of the things that he spoke about in his rally was about her wanting to abort one of their children. Yeah. That is something that he said. Imagine having to deal with that.
No,
whether there's truth to it or not, it's not mine to say or judge or anything. But to publicly, after having a child, and then to publicly have to, that's somebody who's clearly not well. He's not well to say that. So
it's brutal, honestly, this whole thing. And it's really sad. And then one of the things that I've experienced as well is the public or people that know you and aren't necessarily inside, they kind of always tend to blame the spouse or the other, or like the family members. And they're like, why don't you keep him under control? And why don't you do this? And and I think she mentioned it in her, like what she wrote, but it was like, you, at the end of the day, you don't control that person. And anyone who's dealt with not just bipolar, but like alcoholics, drug addicts, like family, any type of mental health issue. I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to that individual to seek help. You can't control a person. Yeah, she did say that, because unless they're a minor, you can't control them. And so we're so used to putting the blame on other people and being like, why didn't you keep them in line? But it's really, really difficult, if not impossible. Yeah. And so I my heart goes out to her, honestly. And I thought what she wrote was spot on and really courageous.
I loved Dave Chappelle going to see him yesterday. People really stepping up. Yeah. He flew flew right to go see Kanye to check on him. And there's like video of them. And yeah, we're watching a public spiral.
Yeah. And it's
most of us have the ability to spiral privately, and Kanye West does not.
Yeah.
So I
think the media gives him some
grace and space.
Yep.
I agree. A couple of things before we get out of here, guys. I did want to, of course, mention Donald Glover returning as Lando for his own Disney Plus series. I'm very excited about this. What I will say is it is hard to talk about any kind of TV show right now. Number one, because it feels so non-tangible as Hollywood, Los Angeles, nothing's opened back up for production, or things that have are so small or are subject to close down as well. So it's challenging to talk about shows coming down the pipeline that like we have no idea when the fuck we're going to see. It's also hard because there's so much actually going on in the world right now. I don't know about you, Nat, but I'm having a hard time focusing on movies and TV when like
I am. Sure.
Yeah, it's just challenging. So I will just say I love Donald Glover. I love Star Wars. I'm excited for the show. And if and when we see this show in 5 years from now, in a year from now, and whatever from now, I'll watch it and be stoked.
Same. Couldn't agree more. I love Donald Glover. So anything he does, I'm there for it.
He's so great. And
awesome.
I'm glad news like this is still coming out, though, because at least it makes you feel like there's a future of this world. And some days I don't feel like this world even has a future, which like is not a good sentiment to share. But, you know, it's hard right now when you wake up and it's like, we don't know when there's going to be a vaccine. I don't know when I see my friends again. I don't know when I can travel. I'm not able to see my family right now. They're 3,000 miles away. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to do that again in the next year or 2 years. Like, just challenging. So I like news like this because I'm like, oh yeah, there's like a life that will happen.
Life will carry on. We just got to stay positive, guys. And, you know, it's rough. Yeah, for sure.
Well, something that we can do while we're in quarantine is eat food. And Glenn had another question for you because he loves these foodie questions.
Okay.
He says he's got some non-serious food questions for you, and he hopes that you find them fun to answer. The first one is, do you have a favorite home-cooked meal?
Paella. My dad's paella. You've had it, Rox.
It's so good.
Like my dad's
so
paella.
good.
It's like the original. I mean, it's better than any Spanish paella you'll have, even in Spain.
It's so good. Number two, he wants to know if you have a favorite breakfast food.
I'm not really a big breakfast person, to be honest. I'm more a lunch person. I honestly love having leftovers for breakfast. Like I'm not, or I just grab a banana and peanut butter.
Me too. I'm the same way. Ooh, this one you like though. Favorite dessert?
Oh,
we're big
sweeties. Okay, so honestly, the birthday cake remix at Cold Stone.
It's really good. Really good.
That like I love those desserts, like those nasty, like fudge and brownies, and I love anything birthday cake flavored, like the birthday cake truffles at Milk. But I just love to mix it all together. There's the yogurt stop in West Hollywood. If anyone's in LA, it's like the big gay yogurt place, and it's
so good.
So good. They have a cake batter, frozen yogurt, and I put all the toppings like funfetti cake. Oh, funfetti, that's another one. I could keep talking about dessert forever, but like, yeah, that's
legit. We should do an hour on dessert.
Honestly, I mean, key lime pie, lemon slice, which is another home cooked thing. I mean, I could go on and on, but I love dessert.
The last one is favorite guilty pleasure food or late night snack.
Everything that I just mentioned.
Literally all of those things.
All
sometimes I like salty things at night, like chips.
I'm all about the sweets. Like I would literally eat lettuce for the rest of my life if it meant that I could just eat dessert.
I think
I have an intense sweet tooth.
I was just going to say, I think you could do that, but actually I take that back very quickly. I do not think you could do that. I think you would get very, very ill.
No, I actually would. I mean, I know I need to eat food.
Yeah, I know. I
do. I like a lot of savory foods as well.
Yeah.
For one.
Me too, so much. Yeah. Going back to earlier, Jig Yoda said Kanye's life went downhill when he started dating Kim. He was doing fine before then. I think this is one of the most egregiously outrageous things I've ever read on this show.
Yeah,
that's so unfair to pin that on her.
That's like what I was just saying. We so often blame, the spouse or the people around them, and it's just so unfair. And
I just think
we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and we shouldn't.
It's not a good understanding of mental illness to think that this happened then. Unless you know him personally, you have no reason to suspect or believe that, or would have no way of even thinking that. So just wanted to say, Jig Yoda, I adore you being in here, but I would encourage you to really look into what you're talking about when you blame Kim Kardashian for Kanye West's mental illness and what that means to blame a wife for a husband's something that he may or may not have even been born with. So just look into that and try to open up your heart and have a little bit of empathy, like we talked about. Nat, I do believe we are getting out of here, but I know you have all the places that you've been putting your stuff on IG and YouTube. Where can everybody find everything you're working on? And you said that you're doing stuff with Rosetta Stone, which I didn't even realize. Like, where are all your things right now?
I mean, everything is on my website, so nataliaramos.com. But my videos, you can watch them all on IG TV. If anyone has tips for my YouTube, I'll get that ramped up. But yeah, I put all of my writing up on my website as well, and like all the videos are all you can find them all there. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, Rox, and thank you everyone so much for asking me back. Like I said, it seriously warmed my heart. It made my day. It was a nice break in the day to just chat with Rox and all of you guys, and let's seriously talk about doing like a monthly WTF is going on, because I'm down.
We should really do that. I'm looking at your website right now. It is so cute.
Really? I did it myself.
No way. How'd you do it?
Just learned how to use Squarespace.
Damn, it's so freaking cute.
I need to learn how to do YouTube. I actually hired someone, it sounds so pretentious to say like an assistant, but like I actually have help now for the first time in my life, which is,
I mean, you've been working since you were 12. I don't think it's pretentious to say that. You deserve some help.
Yeah, well, it's been life-changing, so I'm able to do so much more. But yeah, that was a few years ago. I was just like, I'm gonna learn how to build a website. Anyway.
Wow, this is so good. I'll help you with YouTube, and you can help me with a website.
Done. Deal.
Wow, I'm looking at all this stuff. You've got your reels and your projects, and so many cool pictures of you and your blog.
I'm probably a bit behind, so I should do that.
What is Nat's homeschool?
So I've separated the WTF videos from the homeschool videos. They're all on my IGTV, but the homeschool videos are kind of just like quick bites, like what happened on this day in history, and like what is this? Let me explain it. Like Trump versus Twitter, and then the WTF is like the series that's kind of more in depth.
I love this. All right, well, I'm gonna keep perusing. Look at me. I'm going to peruse away.
You peruse away. I love you dearly.
I love you too very much. And guys, to you guys at home, I know I always tell you this, but stay safe until I see you guys tomorrow. Keep on doing everything you can to think about why you should wake up, what you love about yourself, like every reason you can give yourself to keep on fighting right now, the good fight. We will be back here live tomorrow, 1 p.m. live at the Roxy. Also back by popular demand, Kate Mulligan is going to be on the show. I don't know if you guys have been seeing on her Instagram, she's been doing a lot of deep fakes and impersonations of Angelina Jolie and Jennifer Aniston and Charlize Theron and even Brad Pitt she threw into the mix. So we're definitely going to make her do some impressions live, which we could use the laugh for tomorrow. So also Glenn, before you leave, he just said, seriously, Roxy, a monthly show at Nathalia is a must-have.
And you're so awesome.
Glenn is the freaking best. I mean, you guys all are. So I will be back tomorrow live, 1 p.m. live at the Roxy. Thank you to Nathalia. Please go follow her, support her, check out her website, which again, I will be doing. I'm obsessed with this, Nat. Love you. Love you all. Yes, of course. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m.
See ya.
Bye.